everybody. Good to see you. If you are somewhere where you could turn on your cameras, I would love to be able to see your faces. 1 second, I'm going to rearrange my view a little bit. All right, I got a big screen here so I can see you all. I like seeing your faces. We're going to pick up where we left off last night. Now, as I said, when I do these workshops, these aren't like typical meetings. I am aware that it's a lot of information coming at you. You got replays. And I want to give you as much value as I possibly can in the period of time we have. And so I really just don't want to hold anything back. And I'll be honest, I actually feel a little self-conscious about it till I went to a Tony Robbins seminar. That dude don't take breaks for nobody, for nothing, for no reason. So I realized, I'm like, oh, well, I don't need to worry about it. Meals, bathrooms, who cares? You don't need that stuff. But here it's in Zoom. So if you need it, feel free. Step up, walk away, go to the bathroom if you need to. Get yourself a drink, get yourself a snack. I'm just going to keep barreling through unless my bladder makes me need to stop. But we might take a little break at one part in the middle. But so just kind of know you're not offending anybody by stepping away if you need to. So I posed a question yesterday. What causes people to quit? Does anybody remember what we said the answer was yesterday? Go ahead and tell me here in the chat. What causes people to quit? I raise the audio level. Yes, I can raise it a little bit, Misty, while people are doing that. What causes people to quit? All right, fear. Good. You all got it. Making me happy. We had people paying attention. Fear. But of course, as we were talking about this, yes, that's like the big chunked up reason. So tonight we're going to dig into some of the like more actionable reasons, right? Because when we say fear is the reason, it's like, great, Chris. Yeah, I understand. Not sure what the fuck I'm supposed to do with it. Okay, right, we'll get to some of that tonight. But before we get into that, we need to stay a little bit in the headspace and stay a little bit philosophical. There are two ways of operating in your mind. Two ways that your brain functions and operates. Now to do this, we need to do a little doodle. Something my mentor taught me, because we have to have something to picture the mind, because we're going to talk about the mind here for a second. So the way my mentor, when teaching me about the mind, drew it, was he drew a big circle up top and he drew a little circle down below it. That's the head, that's the body. I know the head's not actually that much bigger than the body, it's just a picture to represent concepts. And then in the middle of the head, he drew a line across it right here. The top representing, we'll just put a C here, representing the conscious thinking mind, and the lower side representing the unconscious emotional mind, I guess you could say, right? And then up here, he drew these little teeny tiny funky looking antenna. He drew 5 of them to be precise. Each one of these representing one of our 5 senses. Each one of these representing one of our 5 senses. Now, this is really important to understand this, because there are 2 ways that your brain operates out of. The first way is it operates out of the conscious mind. It's operating out of the conscious thinking mind. And the other way is it's operating out of the unconscious mind. The unconscious mind, okay? Now, why does this matter when we're going to talk about quitting? You are not going through your life consciously doing everything. You actually are handing quite a bit off to your subconscious mind as you go throughout your day. As an example, give me a 1 in the chat if you have a repetitive route to work that you take. Like you sort of have, and I would put a 1, right? Like you just sort of take the same route to work every single day. Give me a 1 in the chat. Okay, now let me ask you, could you do that drive and barely pay attention? Give me a 2 in the chat. Just barely pay attention. Could you successfully do that drive and mostly keep all traffic laws and not put anybody in danger, right? Why? You look at all the 2s here. Like this isn't weird. This isn't a strange concept we're talking about here, because you're operating this big, gigantic motor vehicle here with lots of moving things and all these cars and traffic. Some of y'all are probably getting on highways. I used to live in Chicago. Everybody drives like they're heading to the ER for something urgent. Everybody's in a hurry, and it's 8 lanes, and they're zigging and zagging, and I'm just like, checking something on the radio. Why? Because I'm comfortable. I have handed off so much of this very complex operation. I have handed it off to my subconscious mind. I've handed it off to my subconscious mind. Now, you're going through your life this way. This unconscious way of the vehicle that we're talking about, this is your autopilot. You have essentially handed your car into your internal autopilot. Now, let me ask you, have any of you ever done this? You go to a city or a place you've never really been before, so give me a 3 in the chat if you've had this one, and just driving 5 minutes away is a stressful experience. You feel like you have to pay attention to so many things, especially if you're in a rental car that is not your car, that doesn't match the one you have, right? Right? Okay, so we got all these 3s. Why? Think about it though. Why is it so different? What difference does it make? Why would one be so much harder than the other? So when you're taking that repetitive route to work every day, you don't have to consciously pay attention. But when you're driving to the store on vacation and you're having to use the GPS and you're in a rental car, you're having to consciously pay attention to everything. Even pulling up to the gas station's annoying. You're pulling up to the gas station and you're like, wait, which side is the gas pump on? How do I find that out? Right, gas gauge, little arrow, left side. My car's on the right, okay. And it's like, just figuring out which side, you have to stop and think of every little teeny tiny decision. It makes it really exhausting. And so, consider for a moment that you operate your day-to-day eating life in a very similar way. Have any of you ever just thought to yourself, like, I don't really do anything and I just get bigger? And these other people, they don't really seem to do anything and they just get smaller. They're naturally thin. I'm naturally big. What if it's your autopilot has been conditioned and programmed in such a way that when you just operate unconsciously, it results in weight gain over the course of time? And so what do? We one day wake up to this realization, something happens, and in our conscious mind, we now finally realize, oh, I'm big. One of the sensors saw a number on the scale, and it's like, I'm big. I got to do something about this. And so the conscious mind is now fully engaged, and the conscious mind's like, all right, we're going to do something about it. Diet, that'll solve this. The problem is you, subconscious brain. It's you down here. It's everything you're having me do. We got to change this all. So you go to the cabinets, open up, you grab all the junky food out, throw it in the trash, eat a little bit. And then you go to the kitchen and you get it more of the other stuff and you clean it out. Go into the grocery store, you go back and like, if it ain't green or multicolored on the food itself, it ain't going in the thing. You walk in, you're like, I got the healthiest of healthy carts ever. I'm such a great, look at me, I'm changing my life. And you go and you pull up and you're judging all the other people like, look at you, I used to be like you, but I'm not anymore. Look at my cart. And you pull up and you're emptying out your cart and you're checking out and you go load it all up and you make yourself the healthy meal and you sit down in front of the TV and you're like, no, I'm gonna get on the walking pad and eat it while I go. I'm so good. Look at this. Look how great I'm doing. Oh, gotta get to bed. Wait, water. Hold on. How many things of water have I had? Not enough. Okay. All right, I got my water in. Oh, shit, I gotta exercise. And you go and you exercise. You're like, now gotta go to bed because I gotta get my sleep. And you bundle up and you get your sleep. You wake up the next day, like, gotta get breakfast, and you go to you're not even thinking, you go to the cabinet, you pull out the cereal, like, nope, I'm not that person anymore, and you put it back, and you're like, I need a healthy breakfast. I don't know what a healthy breakfast is. I don't even know how to make one. I don't think I bought anything for that. Eggs are healthy. I'll do something with eggs. I'll bake, and then you kind of stumble your way through breakfast, and then you're like pulling up to the place to get your coffee, like, oh no, I'm a healthy person now. I don't get this. I'm not getting the Frappuccino. I'll have a black coffee. Thank you, because that's what healthy people drink. They only drink black coffee with nothing in it. No, put some oat milk in it. Now it's healthy. Perfect. And you're going about your day and you go to lunch and your coworkers call you like, yeah, I'll go to lunch with you. And you go there and you're like, oh shit, there's nothing. Oh, what am I going to order? I can't order anything. You notice how like you're having to consciously think about every little damn decision? And so what usually happens by about day 5 of this, fuck that diet. That was exhausting. Like, that was exhausting. So what do? We quit. We quit. Why did you quit? One of the big reasons that people quit is because they try to live their life every moment of every day operating out of the conscious mind. They're trying to spend all their time operating out of this conscious mind. And the conscious mind is exhausting to use. It's exhausting. How many of you, give me a 1 in the chat if you've had this experience, right? You wake up in the day, you're doing awesome, you're kicking ass and taking names, you're tracking all the calories, come about 5 o'clock at night, y'all are giving the ones that haven't finished yet. You get to 5 o'clock at night and the executive function is just gone. You just don't care anymore. Now you got to give me 3s to know if you were listening. So give me a 3 in the chat if that's been you. You start off great and you fall apart by the end of the day. Y'all are cracking me up. I appreciate the eagerness and zeal, though, of which you put those 1s in. If you're going to do it, do it. So, the unconscious mind requires far less energy to use. And you're never doing nothing. You're never doing nothing. Nothing is a choice. Going to sleep and time traveling to tomorrow is doing something. But what do we mean when I say I'm doing nothing? What we mean is, click. Oh. What are you doing? Nothing. I'm doing nothing. You know what I'm not doing right here? I ain't fucking thinking. I'm so sick of thinking. I've been thinking for 4 damn days about everything I'm eating, about all this movement, and none of it is coming easy or natural to me. Every little bit of this is hard. So what do? We quit. And then we wake up the next morning, well rested and full of energy and lots of executive function. I'm going to get this today, but first I need to beat the shit out of myself in my head first. Why would you do that? All right, now that I got that out of my way, now let's go get about my day. We're not going to do it again today. And you go through, you're consciously thinking of all the things, you stumble, you mess up because you got this perfectionistic streak in you and you're totally bungled up tracking at lunch and you're getting home at the end of the day after kicking your ass all day long mentally and making all these decisions and you're so overwhelmed, and what do? What are you doing? Nothing. No, I'm doing something. I'm scrolling on my phone. I'm scanning for the TV show to watch, finding the next Netflix show to binge. I'm doing all sorts of stuff. But I am doing something that I'm not doing. Thinking. Isn't that what you're wanting to do? You just want to let go of thinking. I'm so over this thinking bullshit. Because your autopilot, what does your autopilot do? Tell me in the chat, what does your autopilot do? Does your autopilot make you gain weight or lose weight? Does your autopilot make you gain weight or lose weight? Tell me in the chat. We probably have a mix in here now, which would be good. Right? So have you ever noticed, like you only feel like you're doing good when you're thinking and planning? How many of you only do good when you're tracking your calories, which makes you think about it a bunch? It's because you don't trust your autopilot. You know better. You know your autopilot cannot be blindly trusted. And so I have to micromanage my subconscious brain because it can't be trusted to be left to its own devices. Right? 1 second. This camera's turn off the follow mode. There we go. So the subconscious mind, however, important thing to know, it operates off of rules. Do this, do that. Don't do this, don't do that. Who created those rules? Who put them in there? They're in your head. Who put them there? You did! You did! It was all you. Actually, it's not true. It wasn't all you. It wasn't all you. You see, when you were younger, like a kid, somewhere between the ages of 0 and 7, somewhere in that area, you didn't really have a very well-formed conscious mind. And so your parents were just sort of pumping stuff into the unconscious mind. And then, of course, you were growing and developing and you were being surrounded by people and you were just sort of picking up the beliefs of people without knowing any better. Like when a parent tells you it's right to solve your troubled heart with ice cream and your friends are doing it, you grow up believing that it is right to solve your problems with ice cream, that it in fact would be wrong and depriving you and being kind of cruel to tell a sad person you can't have ice cream. Like you would actually pick up that belief. Why would you tell that to me? Oh, you bastard, of course I'm going to have some ice cream. Like you might even get a little belligerent about it because you picked up this belief when you were younger. And the problem is never, not once in your life did you stop and go, do I still want to believe that? Like, all right, I get it. My parents gave me that belief. My society gave me that belief. But you're 47 years old. If you're so smart, and I know you are, you mean to tell me you can't change your mind on a belief? Of course you can. Of course you can. But when have you ever sat down and thought about it? I'm 34 years old. That's how old I was when I sat down and started thinking about it. And it took about 7 years to start working my way through it. It's been 7 years is now, so I'm still working through it. The list is getting smaller. The amount I've worked through is far more than what's left. So the automatic pilot takes some of the load off of the conscious mind, and the automatic pilot is governed by rules that you own, because you may not have planted them all in there, you just have not yet removed it, and you're old enough now that it's your mess. You own it. Nobody, it's not your parent. You can't, if you are over the age of 35, you can't blame your parents anymore. You can say it's the cause, you can say they created it, but if it's still here, that's your fault, because you've had time to work through it. Okay? But if you're 48 years old, 52 years old, and you're like, I can't do this because of something that happened to me when I was 15. Okay, are you working on it? No. Are you gonna be working on it? No. Okay, that's your fault, because you could start working on it. And you are big because of your beliefs. Because the beliefs drive all of the behaviors that you do. And you did not plant all of the beliefs there. That is also true. But nobody can remove them but you. You're the one that has to do the work. And so what you must do, you must reprogram how your unconscious mind operates. And you do that by utilizing your conscious mind. You recondition the automatic pilot. You literally go from a naturally big person in conditioning to a naturally thin person in conditioning. It's really cool because in the guild we spit out thin people out the other end. And so when I get to talk to them, it's fascinating that one of the things that is shared, all of our stories are completely different, and yet we have very similar experiences. And we all say we think differently. We literally do not see ourselves or the world the same way. We think completely differently. And not a single one of them can tell me when it happened. Not a one. Everybody can go, I woke up one day 5 years ago and I believed and looked at the world this way. And here I am 5 years later and I believe and look at the world this way. And I cannot tell you when this person came into existence. I know it happened. Like, I'm aware of certain moments that mattered, but like, I just sort of one day realized I'm this person. We call these the who am I moments. You're doing something effortlessly, naturally, or you want to do it, and you're like, who am I? Like, what in the world? This isn't what I do, and yet it is what I do, because I'm doing it and I like it. That doesn't come from losing weight. That comes from changing how you think. Not on a conscious level, but on an unconscious level. The problem is a lot of people think they're changing their subconscious by just engaging in inspiration porn, by reading all these wonderful quotes and picking up this beautiful shelf of amazing personal development books that, let's be real, most of y'all ain't read more than half of them. Like, literally, you haven't read more than half of the books, right? How many of you have got a stack of I'm going to get to them one day books? but I feel good, right? And we tell ourselves we're doing something. And then we read this whole book. We just blitz our way through it. It's like, great, I got through this. I'm okay and you're okay. And then somebody comes up and says, what was in the book you read? Something about parents and I'm okay and you're okay. What are you grilling me for? Get out of here. Like, I have had so many people that they rave about how they like Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits is so great. Yeah, I agree. Atomic Habits is a great book. Can you tell me the 4 steps of creating a habit? He only said it like 80 times in the book. Can you tell them to me? Can you give me one step? He did a cool story about an ice cube. That's not what I asked. We read these books and you retain like 0.05% of it 12 months later and you're acting like you've somehow changed. And I know this. How do you think I know this, people? Because I had to wait till my dad died before I cut that shit out. I had to wait till I was 34 years old before I finally looked at the books and being like, I don't know what's in them, and I've read them. Well, I've read half of them, and I'm full of a few of them. And yet I would talk like I had. I would act like I knew. Yeah, I've listened to the Tony Robbins CDs. Yeah, I've changed. I listened to his 6-day Get Your Life Together program, and it didn't get me together, but I listened to it. But I felt awesome each day as I was doing it. You didn't change. People love the idea of change. People want to go to sleep and wake up changed. But people don't want to go through the process of changing, of going from I used to think this way, and 5 years later I think this way, and I don't know when it happened. Because there's something that happens a lot throughout this. A lot. You see, when you're going through life, operating out of your conscious thinking mind, and it's exhausting, you're trying to change, you've got this new diet that you're going to do, and of course you're getting mentally exhausted, and your brain is wanting relief, and it's wanting to use the unconscious mind, and the brain starts to notice this pattern. I keep trying to do this program, and it's frustrating, and it's annoying, and it's difficult, and I don't like how it feels. And I call it something that bubbles up either from your unconscious or from the ether. It doesn't really know. It's just, it shows up on the stage of your conscious mind, this idea, something that I call the call to quit. It's this voice that's beckoning you. Just stop. If you just stop, all this will go away. All this discomfort you're feeling, it'll just go away. And this voice starts taunting you. But here's the problem. It's not actually quitting. It's giving up. But we do it in a sneaky, quiet way. We just sort of not think about it for 3 days. And then we just sort of keep not thinking about it. One day we come home at the end of the day, we're like, this is so frustrating, this is so overwhelming. I don't want to do this anymore. You go to bed, you wake up the next day, you go to work, you get to lunch, and your friends call you, hey, you want to go to lunch together? And you're like, yeah, that sounds good. Then you go to the restaurant brings out the menu, you look at the menu, and you look at your Old Faithful favorite and all 1,400 calories of that glory, and you've been eating this like healthy shit off the healthy but not very tasty part of the Applebee's menu for 650 calories, and you're like, yeah, I'll get this. And you go to your Old Faithful. You just do it. You just decide, I'll just get it. And you don't think about it. You literally don't think about it. You just let the unconscious take over. And then you get to dinner, and your husband, your wife says, hey, you want to go out and get pizza tonight? And you've been saying no all week to different things. And you're like, yeah, let's go. You just don't think about it. You just stop fighting it. But you're not fighting anything. You're just going back to what you were doing. Did it ever consider you that when you were going on a diet, that was you trying to quit yourself? You were trying to quit the act of being you. And that call to quit wasn't a call for you to quit the diet. It was a call for you to come back to who you are. Come back to me. We don't do this. This is all uncomfortable what you're doing here. This all doesn't feel right. This all feels wrong. Come back to the comfort of normal. The diet is you quitting. And you're not any good at quitting. Because you're just like a paper bag blowing in the wind. As a really wise philosopher, Katy Perry, once said in the great song Firework. It is a good song, though. I do like it. But that's what it's talking about. You're just going where you go. Whatever happens, happens. And so if you want to lose the weight, keep it off for good. If you want to do anything that is going to require a big shift, you're going to have to transform. But you cannot just transform how you're consciously thinking. You also have to transform your subconscious mind. You have to change the conditioning that happens in here. If you don't do it, you will go back. So how do we recondition the automatic pilot? There's 5 steps. It's 5 steps to reconditioning the automatic pilot. I'm not going to write them down here. I'll just say them out loud so you can write it down. Number 1. Oh, hold on. Bonus. When you decide you want to change, you can't let the devil inside you hear. You can't let that side of you know, because it'll try to self-sabotage you. So when you're like, I want to change my subconscious, only talk about it as much as absolutely necessary. Don't talk about it too much. And if you are going to talk about it, you got to talk about it with people that are not going to let you try to self-sabotage away from it. Because your ego is listening, and your ego's like, he's trying to kill me. So you can't talk about it. So I'm going to talk about it here. Just maintain a little bit of detachment from it. But understand, when you're like, I'm ready to change, just quietly go do these things and don't talk about it too much. Don't think about it too much, right? Just quietly go do them. So, number 1, repetition of ideas. Repetition of ideas. If you want to recondition your subconscious mind, you need to bombard it with a new idea to take the place of the old ones. You don't get rid of old ways of thinking. You overwrite them with new ways of thinking. And you just bombard it in. Full disclosure, that's how I do my coaching. It's why my social media has a lot of repeats. It's why even in the guild I will repeat things again and again. Why? Because you need to hear me say it many different times, many different ways, in different emotional intensities, in different settings, in different environments, while you are going through different states of being as well. And you are processing the information from all different angles and getting a full understanding until finally you have that epiphany moment. Have you had an epiphany moment? You know what I'm talking about, right? It's where all of a sudden goes, oh, aha, light bulb, something clicked. I understand something I didn't know before. And many times we think like, I just needed to hear it that time. No, you probably needed to hear it the 976 times before, said by the 45 different individuals, said over the course of 4 years. And now it clicked. If you didn't have all those, this would have just passed you by. And the problem is you never know when it's going to click. So it's important, if you're going to have repetition of ideas, you need to place yourself in the path of ideas. And this isn't inspiration porn, just getting fun little, oh, that feels good to think quotes on TikTok. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay? Things like conversations with other people that think the way you want to think. You can hear how they're talking about it. Like, let's say you wanted to get your financial shape in order and you start listening to Dave Ramsey. The dude has been giving the same advice for 30 years. The same advice. It's 6 baby steps. That's it. And they're not even hard. They're easy. He's been publishing the same book for ages. But why do people watch it? They like to watch him apply the 6 baby steps to 5,000 different unique scenarios. And that allows people to get an understanding of how to apply it in all these different ways, but also it keeps you focused and it normalizes what you're doing. It makes it not seem weird. When you're out here saying no and selling everything, trying to get out of debt, when all your neighbors are like, what are you doing? We're going on our 3rd vacation this year. You surround yourself with these ideas. The next thing you do to recondition that subconscious mind is you have to get your body involved in the process. Now, when I say body, people have this weird thing I've noticed. When I say get your body in progress, give me a 2 in the chat if when I said that, you took that to mean everything from the neck down. Or basically everything but your brain. Okay. All right, so we need to go over something. This is cool. I didn't know I was going to get to be the person to tell you this today. So you're about to learn something. Your brain is a part of your body. It's a tool, like your lungs. The mind is you, the thinking self. Remember, we did this last night, right? Which session did we do it in? They're all kind of blurring together. But I had people picture a triangle in your mind. If you picture a triangle in your mind and I slice your head open and look around, we will never find that triangle. The triangle was created in the mind with the brain. The brain is an organ, like your heart, like your lungs. It is a part of your body. So when I say engage your body, I am also including the mind in this. And the brain. And the brain has all these nerve endings that go through all throughout your body, all these little sensory factors. And the really cool thing is it's a two-way street. You can use the brain, the mind, to control the body. But you can use the body to go the other way to control the mind, to influence how you feel. Movement, as an example, can help a great deal. And so what I'm talking about with activating the body is not only should you be processing the new ideas, you should be processing them while moving. You should not just be taking in the new ideas while you're sitting here nicely listening to a seminar from Chris. You should also be popping an earbud in and going for a walk. Going and doing an intense exercise and redline leveling your heart, feeling like it's going to explode and pop out your chest as you're listening to some new idea and just locking it in. You are conditioning that subconscious mind. If you are only going and working out and listening to brain candy, you are wasting golden opportunities to just bombard incredible ideas into your head that will take at a core level. And it won't happen from doing it once. And you don't need to do this every time. You just need to do it some. But it's not just that. You need to take in these ideas outside. Go outside and touch a tree. Go get in nature and consider your life. Consider these new ideas. Recondition them. But not only that, some ideas can only be processed through something called experiential learning. There is nothing I could do that could ever convey the taste of salt, other than to just have you open your mouth and I drop a grain of salt on your tongue and you instantaneously know what salt tastes like, but you are now powerless to explain it to anybody else. You know what it tastes like, but you cannot explain it to somebody. All you can do is have them taste some salt. You have to experience it to know it. And so some ideas can only be learned through experiences. You can't sit down and read about it in a book and know what it means and know how to do it. Do you want to know how you sit in your hunger? You don't come to a seminar about hunger for 6 hours and then think you know. No, you go to the seminar for 6 hours, take the exercises that they give you, and then wait for hunger to show up, and then not answer it and sit in your hunger and feel how uncomfortable it feels and goes, wow, this really fucking sucks, just like they said it would. And you know what you do? Nothing. You just sit in it. And then an hour later you go, done, and you eat. You now have learned what it feels like. On my journey, I just realized that if my senses got activated, it would trigger thoughts. How many of you have found yourself eating food? You weren't planning to eat it, but you smelled something and it became so overwhelming you had to have it. Give me a 4 in the chat. You've had a smell just trigger, I have to have it. It just smells so good. Right? That's 1 sense. 1. And I noticed this would happen. And I'm trying to master myself, master my body. So what I started doing, there were 2 things I would do. 1, I would go to the grocery store into the bakery section, preferably when they're actually baking things, where you can smell the frosting in the air. You can almost taste it. And I would walk in with my cart. I'd stand right in the middle of the smells, and I would just go, gosh, this smells good. And then I would just walk away, and I would just observe how every fiber of my being wanted to go back and get some. And I wouldn't. Because I was conditioning myself to feel it and not give in. I did it all the time. Then there was the other thing I would do. People in my work love to tease me about this one. So I still remember the first time it happened. They brought donuts. I wasn't going to have any, but I wanted one real bad. And I'm like, there's no calories and smells. So I walk over and I pick up the box of donuts and I hold it and I just go, wow, that smells so good. And I walked away and I didn't know somebody was watching. What are you doing? I'm smelling the donuts. Why aren't you having one? Because there's no calories and smell. And then lo and behold, every time donuts, they'd see me walking through the office and then they'd be like, Chris is going to smell the donuts again. I'm like, you shut up. I am though. They're all laughing when they got fatter and I got thinner. I could have did what the community wanted. I could have followed their belief systems. Or I could just choose to go, that's just them imposing their standards on me and they don't know. I'm on a different journey. Let's have fun with it. I don't need to change their minds, but I don't need to let them change mine either. So let's have fun at it. I discovered the best way to repel when people are doing something to you is just agree with them. You're stupid. You're right. You're getting a little obsessed with exercise. That's the point. I think you've changed. Thank you. That's what I'm going for. Appreciate that. It just takes all the wind out their sails, and you know what? You feel better. You just agree with it. Let it happen. Don't you think you've lost enough weight? Maybe. You're going to stop when I'm done? Haven't you traded one obsession for another with this exercise business, Chris? I don't know. I don't remember you ever saying anything to me when I was obsessed with eating pizza and ice cream all the time. I don't remember you ever talking to me about that. Oh, that's right, because you were doing it with me. I only seem to notice it when I'm going against the grain. This new crowd that I've joined, they don't say I'm obsessed with exercise. They call me weak and candy ass. So, which crowd am I going to listen to? I'm going to listen to the one that's like, come on, you can do better. You're right, I can do better. I'm not going to listen to the crowd that's like, come on, you can do less. You're right, I can do less. And this is the third thing for reconditioning your autopilot that I'm alluding to right here. You have to talk about your new conditioning with supportive people. Supportive people. So many people go through a weight loss journey thinking, I need an accountability buddy. Give me a 4 in the chat if you have tried to solve your weight loss with an accountability buddy. You tried that before. So you said, I'm going to get an accountability partner. 4s. Okay, for those of you that have 4s, give me a 5 if it didn't work. If you ended up still not losing all the weight and keeping it off. Just curious how many 5s I got. Okay, so, all right. That tracks. That makes sense. So, people don't need accountability buddies for weight loss. If an accountability buddy was the thing that was going to make it work, we'd have solved obesity by now. Because Lord knows enough humans have tried it. What people actually need is encouragement partners. You don't need an accountability buddy. You need an encouragement buddy. You need somebody in your life that every time you're feeling down, they encourage you to keep going. You need somebody when you feel yourself going back to the old beliefs, you need someone to encourage you to come back to what you're moving towards. But they respect you enough that if you genuinely, truly want to go back, they'd let you. But they're going to remind you. I have a term for this. I call them OSPs, only supportive people. You've got to talk about your new beliefs all the time. You have to talk about it. You have to talk about it out your damn mouth to another human that is supportive. And many of you are going to be losing weight for 2 to 4 years, depending on how big your journey is. Some of y'all are starting pretty high. It might be a 4-year journey, okay? If you talk about this every day to your coworkers, to your friends, and to your spouse, and to your kids, you're going to drive them fucking nuts, and you won't have any friends. You will become that person. Some of y'all love to tease vegans when you're just as bad, just with something else. Don't let this be, nothing against y'all vegans, I love you, but like some of y'all try way too damn hard to let all of us know why you're vegan, okay? I get it. You got to talk about it so you can stay in the headspace of being vegan and make it normal to not eat things like honey. It's fine. I don't care. But you'll notice that people surround themselves with like-minded people from a food standpoint. And so if you want to change how you're thinking, your automatic pilot, you cannot talk about your new conditioning that you're trying to adopt, your new weight loss mindset with your old eating buddies. You can't talk about it with them. Unless they're on the journey with you, don't talk about it with them. It's just going to set you up for failure. Don't talk about people that they're not in the game. I know your spouse is super supportive of you and loves you dearly, but after day 742 of you talking about the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, they're going to be annoyed with you because they're not as interested as you. And that's not a knock against them. That is very reasonable. Imagine if your spouse got into collecting Hot Wheels cars and they wanted to talk to you about it every single day for 942 days straight. How do you think you're going to react when they bring up the Hot Wheels car collection again? And you're like, I cannot possibly care any less about this. But you love them and you know it's important to them to have the next cool collector's car. But you really aren't interested. And I know, you think your spouse should be interested. This is your body. They're going to be interested in the results. They're not going to be interested in the process. Because the process is boring. Weight loss is boring. 100% of the clients I work with one-on-one, I've had to have the following conversation multiple times, and several of y'all are in here, so we've had this conversation, which is, this is going to be a very repetitive conversation. We are going to have the same conversation over and over and over again. You do not need to apologize to me for it. I am expecting this. I like it. I want it to be this way. I have to reassure every single client of this because they start noticing when we're in the daily check-in phase of coaching, where we check in every single day, that on day 92, it's starting to feel a little repetitive. But that's the point. Because I'm giving them someone they can talk to about it every day that actually, genuinely, truly wants to hear it. That when you have that moment where you sniffed the donut, set it down, and didn't get a donut, you have that person you can go to like, so I sniffed the donut box and didn't have any today. You want to be like, really? That's awesome. You don't want to talk to somebody and they're like, that's weird. Like, you're not going to want to talk to them about that. But you need to talk about it with a person so that you can practice speaking your new automatic conditioning into existence. The next thing, and this next one's a hard one, honestly. This one has caused so much pain and suffering in people's lives doing this next one. In fact, there's been wars started over this one. Houses have burned down. Children have caught in cancer. It really is quite terrible. And that is to write in a book that has no words in it. It's called journaling. And I know when you do this, you run the real risk of like killing a baby. But like, it's worth the risk. I know it sounds like I'm being ridiculous, but some of y'all talk about journaling as if it is that bad. Okay? So just as you need to talk to people about your ideas, you need to write them down. This is just some of my journals. Some. Not a single baby has been killed because I wrote in one of these. Not a single bad thing has happened. Yes, occasionally somebody has gotten one and opened it and read it, and I've even handed it a few times to a couple people and let them read it. And sometimes people stumble on something personal, and you know what happened? Nothing. We talked about it, and that's it. We talked about it. But you know the other thing though, my journals, you know what they're not full of? Nothing but the worst awful thoughts I've ever thought. For some reason, people think journaling means I'm going to write down, dear diary, today I did this, and I have a crush on this boy, and he looked at me. It's like, no, it's not that. And some people think it's, I need to sit here and rage journal. I fucking hate this person. How could this person ever do this to me? I hope this person rolls into a ditch and dies and gets run over and set on fire. Rah. I don't know what you're writing in your rage journal, but for some reason, people think it means rage journaling. Yes, don't get me wrong. You should rage journal. My advice, if you're going to rage journal, get something like this where the paper is cheap. You can tear it out, throw it away, burn it, rip it to shreds, right? If your husband did something to you and pissed you off, and you're like, if I don't say these things somewhere, I'm going to say them to him. Good thing he didn't hear me say that, but now it's out of my system. I'm good. I can go sit down and talk like a regular human. That's called scratch journaling. All right? I'm not talking about scratch journaling for reconditioning your brain. All right? That's for emotional regulation and working through trauma and all sorts of other stuff. That's all very, very good. I'm talking about journaling for reconditioning your thought patterns. That's what I'm talking about. You need to take your new ideas and document them on paper. But here's the problem. Some ideas are just not particularly well suited to document on paper. And so in this case, you use another kind of journal. It's called a camera. Here's my Lego camera because I don't know where my GoPro went. But you hold up your camera and you talk to it. Hi, today I did this. And you tell it about what you're thinking, what you're working through, what you're going through, what experiences you have. I have a server over here with terabytes of video journals. Terabytes. Thousands and thousands of them. I've only watched like maybe 10 or 20% of them. The rest of them have never been seen. I still keep them though. I go through them every now and then. I've been thinking about going through a bunch of them lately because I'm going through something in life and I want to revisit a previous part of my life and go, what was I doing then? And I can go see my old mindsets. I am studying myself there. But so you can externalize and talk about your new conditioning to the camera. I know that some of you have taken a chance on me with this one and you have decided to try video journaling. If you have, comment here in the chat about video journaling if you've done it. I know several of you have done it before and you found it to be tremendously helpful. Video journaling specifically. And it's, yeah, see, Carrie put something here. Video journaling is so easy to do. I would clip my camera to my rear view mirror of my car and just talk to it while I drive. I bought a clip specifically for it to do it. Now, that is not the only form of journaling. The other form of journaling you can do is you can record it on your old tape players. Actually, it's because I don't know where my digital journal went either. I think it's somewhere over there. But you can hit record. You can hit record and talk to it. And you know what? Most of y'all have a camera and an audio recorder in your pocket at all times, and it's encrypted with a passcode. Unless you chose to be dumb and not put a password on your phone. You need to put a password on your phone. And then you know what? No one can get to it but you. Neat, huh? And you can literally be documenting all the time and getting the reps in of getting these new ideas coming out of your mind. Now, we'll have plenty of opportunities to journal, and this isn't meant to be a journaling guide, it's just meant to say to do it. But then the last one, number 5, intentional modifications of environment. Your automatic pilot operates off of visual triggers. Many of you, the only thing that gets you to brush your teeth is you're in the bathroom and you look down and you see it. I have been using this record piece of paper for years here in the studio. Years I've been using this. Now this piece of paper, you will sit right here. I have a habit of recording meetings and doing a whole bunch of other stuff right before the meeting starts to get it ready for replay. The only reason that habit fires off is because this is here. It is the only reason it fires off. If it is not here, 9 out of 10 times I don't record it. I have to have a visual cue to remind me to do it. And so remember that Atomic Habits book when we talk about the steps of setting a habit? I am doing one of the steps called setting the scene. So when the show is over tonight, I'm going to take this and pick it back up and put it here. That's the slider for something that I can't move the slider without moving it. I'm setting the scene for the next time I come here to do it. I'm making it easy for me to do it. So if you want to recondition your automatic pilot, you have to help it along by putting street signs up, by having little indicators to know what to do. How many of you, when you found a new way to go to work, you just picked a landmark? You know, when I see that sign, I know I'm turning on the next street. Number 5 is intentional modifications of environment. So let's recap the 5 steps. Number 1, repetition of ideas, as many different ways as possible. Number 2, activation of your body. Get your body involved in the process, specifically with experiential learning. Number 3, talk about the new ideas as much as you possibly can, preferably every day, with supportive people. So talk about it with supportive people. Talk about it with supportive people. Number 4, journaling. My advice is use audio, written, and video. Use all of them. And number 5, intentional modification of environment. Intentional modification of environment. To utilize it to help you do what you need to do. So here's some of the hard parts though, when you're going to set off on a journey of reconditioning your unconscious mind. There's some really, really difficult parts and elements to this. And there's one that I genuinely believe sits at the very tippy top of the hardest thing to deal with. And that is when you first embark on a personal growth journey like a weight loss journey for a considerable period of time, and I'm talking like 12 to 24 months, you cannot trust your intuition. You cannot trust your intuition blindly for like a year or two. It is so hard to do that. People talk about like being in a calorie deficit is hard. Nah, that ain't hard. Realizing that for a year you cannot trust your gut around food ever, that's hard. Because the thing is, if you trust your gut, you're going to gain weight. I always loved it when a person would come to me when I was bigger and try to be like, well, you know, Chris, the answer is you need to stop dieting and you need to do intuitive eating and just listen to your body. I'm like, bitch, if I intuitively eat, I'm going to be 400 pounds. I don't even know what it means to be hungry. Like, I don't even know what that means. Like, I mean, is that kind of, you feel that way for you, right? Like if a person's like, just listen to your intuition, you'd be like, I've tried that. That didn't work out so well for me. I got big. And then because intuition, where do you think the intuition comes from? Here, the subconscious. And what if your subconscious is wired in a particular way? Interesting fact, everybody that ever told me that was never obese. They might have had a little extra weight on them, sure, 30, 40 pounds. But let's just be very clear. Let's be real clear. A 30 to 40 pound problem is not fucking the same thing as being 150 pounds overweight. It's not the same thing. It's not the same problem, and it doesn't need the same solution. And there's a lot of times there's people out there giving advice like they know what they're talking about, going, well, you know, the best way to do calculus is to do calculus. It's like, I don't know how to do math. I don't even know what numbers are. It's not that I can't get to calculus. I'm just not there yet. And so you got people out there on the internet trying to tell you to do something. They're trying to tell you what you're going to be doing in 4 years from now as if you should be doing it today. Literally on a TikTok I made. for beginners, like for ultra beginners at the very beginning of it. And when I say this resonated with it, currently it's at, since yesterday morning, it's at about, we're coming up on 500,000 views, okay? So it's clearly clicking. But there's some joker on here. Here's the person that decided to tell me what the answer is. Decrease sugar, run daily. Now, I love the commenter that responded right away. I can't run. Did you hear anything he said? This is for us big people. We can't just start running. I'll start walking. I'll move up from there. A very sensible response. I would have been saltier. I'm thinking about being salty to it. Because it's like, we got to recognize where we are. Right? You don't go doing the things you're going to do later in the beginning. And so, but what this means is, no, you're not going to intuitively eat. You're nowhere near ready to be intuitively eating in your first year. None of y'all in your first year should be like, I'm going to try intuitive eating. No, you're not ready. Your intuition cannot be blindly trusted. You have to recondition it with data. You cannot trust it. You can use it and test it, but be like the KGB. Trust but verify. Okay? You can let your intuition tell you what to eat, and then you can pull out your phone and log the calories just to be sure. And then at the end of the day, you can pull out your phone and be like, all right, my intuition told me to eat 3,200 calories today. I think my intuition fucked up. I was only supposed to eat 2,200. I overshot it by a little bit. And then you do that for 4 or 5 more days, let your intuition tell you what to eat, you're documenting, you're like, I am really not doing good. I've eaten over 3,000 calories every day. Okay, can't listen to intuition. That's okay, because that's data. You're learning. You're finding something you can do. The problem, actually, why this is so hard, though, it's not that you can't blindly trust your intuition. It's that for probably the first 6 months, 4 months, 8 months, somewhere in there, you have to do the opposite. So if your intuition's like, I need to lose weight, let's lose weight fast. No, let's lose weight slow. Oh, that doesn't feel right. I've always lost weight fast. You know, if your intuition's like, I gotta lose weight, let's cut out all the carbs. Oh, no, I have to somehow figure out how to lose weight and eat carbs. Why am I sad about this? I've always said I hated that I had to give up carbs. Why is this not liking me? Because it doesn't feel right with your intuition. My intuition's like, I need to lose weight. Let's weigh in on the scale every single day and beat ourselves up when we get on the scale. No, I can't use the scale hardly at all. And then when I get on it, I'm not allowed to beat myself up. But that's like my favorite pastime. That's how I get myself to change, is by beating myself up. But I can't do that. My intuition is telling me to do that. And my intuition keeps making me get fat. This is why people quit. They don't like feeling they can't trust themselves. But you know what part of you doesn't like that? You see, there's a part of you that will continually show up and try to sabotage this. Your self-image, aka your ego. Remember what I said earlier? That call to quit is actually your ego calling you to come back. Because when you're going on a diet, when you're seeking to lose weight, you're actually seeking to quit the act of being yourself. You're seeking to quit that even if you don't know it. Because the price of success will require you to sacrifice who you are for who you're going to become. That's the price of success. And that's part why people don't quit, why people don't make it. It's why people quit. Because when you're constantly doubting yourself, constantly saying I can't trust my intuition, which is you actually still trusting your intuition, but you get what I'm saying. You're constantly doubting your first instincts, your natural inclinations. It can be destabilizing, and it's supposed to be destabilizing, and people will quit. because they weren't prepared for this natural and normal psychological journey. Many of you here in this room right now are well into the journey, well into it. Give me a 3 in the chat if you've experienced what I'm talking about. If you've experienced the old self calling you back and you felt the unnerving effect of not being able to trust yourself. This is a natural and normal part of the journey. This is why it is so important that you are talking to supportive people, preferably people that are on the journey, so that it doesn't seem crazy. Because if you do this by yourself, you're going to seem insane to yourself. You're not insane. It's a completely normal thing. It happens all the time in other parts of life. This isn't unique to weight loss. But you're being very present with it, so it's a little weird when you're going through it. And so you're going to find this to be a very frustrating endeavor. And the other problem is, because you are going to operate off of your unconscious automatic pilot, you are going to do it because you can't possibly be consciously present for every decision of every moment of every day in perpetuity. Because this journey has no end. You do this till you die. You're going to operate off of automatic pilot. And in the beginning, success looks like failure a lot of the time. It's going to be frustrating. You're just going to be going about your life. You're going to open the cabinets, grab food, and started eating it. And you're going to be like, damn it. And you're going to put it back. You're like, I failed. Sometimes you won't realize it until after you ate it all. But you caught it that time. And so that's real frustrating because the old patterns just fire off. Like in just half a second of not paying attention, a visual trigger comes up. Next thing you know, you're 6 steps deep into a habitual thought pattern. And now you're taking action. You're eating the food. You're catching it like, shit. And you're putting it back. And you're like, no, I ruined my calories. Now I'm off and I can't do this anymore because I messed up. No, you're making it worse. All you do is go, oh, I caught it. I saw it. And I put it back and you walk away and you go about your day. Without OSPs to help remind you of who you are likely to get stuck in your head overthinking this. Give me a 4 in the chat if you have sometimes found it a struggle to be successful because you overthink everything. Many of you just need a couple of good friends in your life to regularly come up to you and say, hey, you know what? You're overthinking this again. Like some of y'all need to get a safe word with your buddies where when you start overthinking, they're like, scarecrow. I'm like, what? Oh, right, overthinking. Like, you just might need, overthinking this just makes everything hard. And so you need quality people that you can go talk to. And the other reason why this is so hard is unlike when you were a child, no one can recondition your mind for you. Not without you being aware that it's happening, right? I mean, you could be captured and tortured and someone could mess with you, I'm sure. But just in regular old life, no. You cannot outsource this. You cannot get someone else to change your mind for you. And I know that's what many of you are hoping for. Many of you are hoping that you'll just pick up a book like the 8 Keys to End Emotional Eating. You're hoping you'll read this and you'll just magically not need to emotionally eat anymore. I have been trying to absorb the information in this book for years, and I still have to regularly go to this book because I don't remember something. Maybe one day I will absorb this entire paradigm in this book and graft it into myself, but I'm not there yet. Lots and lots and lots of repetition. No one can do that work for me. He wrote this book to help me do the work. He didn't know he was doing it for me. He did it for all of us. Right? That's when an author writes a book, they're not doing the work for you. They're giving you the information so you can do the work for you. And many people want to be changed, but they don't want to do the work of changing. Like how many of you have had a book that really rocked your mind when you read it, and then you never read it again other than the Bible or the Torah or the Quran or whatever spiritual scripture you do? Have any of you ever noticed that you keep reading your holy scriptures over and 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 over again until you die. And literally they will do it after you die over your grave. Why? To keep the ideas in your mind. Because you want to absorb every little molecule of the message. Because you want to live your life in accordance with those values. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. And so you find a book that goes, wow, this could change my life if I did this. I'll never read it again. I don't understand. I've done everything. I've tried everything to lose weight. Have you, that book that you said was going to change your life, did you read it twice? No. So have you really tried everything? Yes. I read the book. But do you know everything that's in it? There's 8 keys. It says it on the cover. Get out of my face. What's one of the keys? Something about looking for keys under a lamppost when you're drunk. That's all I remember. That's actually a story in there for those of you that know it. How many of you have read this book? Could you tell me the 8 keys? And yet you could tell me all of the famous elves from Lord of the Rings. And they got weird names. Some of y'all people that are into sports, you could tell me all the sports team's name in a particular sport, and you couldn't tell me the 8 keys that would change your life for emotional eating that's been ruling your life. You can't tell me those. You can't tell me one. Not one. So did you really try everything? Or did you do just enough so that you could act like you did? This is another reason why you need OSPs in your life. So they'll call you on your shit. Because if they're quality, supportive people, you know they love you. And you know they're not just trying to razzle you, and you like them and you want to be in their presence. So when they help gently, and maybe not so gently if you need it, remind you that, hey, there's more you could be doing that's actually quite reasonable. It's helpful. It's helpful. No one can do this for you, and so people quit. People give up. They walk away from weight loss. All right, we are going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back to part 2 of this journey we're going to go through. So let's say it is 8:09 right now. So let's take come back at just a little bit after 8:15. Just, like 8:17-ish or so, right? So I'll pull up, just get some music playing in the background. If you need to go to the bathroom, if you need to get a drink, go ahead and do that. Get yourself a clean page, and then we're going to pick up where we left off and keep going from there. So see y'all in just a little bit. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. We'll give everybody just a moment for those that are here. So again, if you can, I know many of you will have flipped off your cameras while you were taking your break. If you could turn your cameras on, I mean it. It really, really, really helps me because I'm watching your faces. I'm watching your reactions. I've got a big screen up here, so it's really helpful for me to kind of just see I like seeing who I'm talking to. So it does, I know you may not feel like it does much on your end, but it really does. And you might even occasionally flip it to the grid view too, where you can see other people. Or another great view if you're on a computer is the multi-speaker view, which is actually the view I use because it'll put me big up top, and then you can see the grid view down below, which can be a really nice one for those of you on a computer to give you a good immersive. I want you to have a good immersive experience because there's quite a few on here right now live here in Zoom, and we're actually simulcasting this on YouTube. There's not as many live, but it gets more of the replay. So those of you on YouTube, hi. We do see your comments in here with the, your comments are showing up here in the chat feed too, just like everybody else's. I was just reading back on the break, and I saw several of y'all from YouTube are commenting. So let's move to something I'm very, very excited. I wasn't sure if I was going to do it tonight or if I was going to do it tomorrow. We're going to do it tonight. But we're going to talk about one of the biggest reasons people quit, and then I'm going to try to help you solve it so that you don't quit. So one of the biggest reasons people quit is there's no clearly defined when to quit. You see, a lot of people, they fall into two camps with weight loss. So like, I quit when I'm too frustrated and I'm done, right, when I get overwhelmed. Or people give the answer that I used to give too, the cheeky answer, which would be like, you don't ever quit, good sir. It goes on forever. No, managing my weight goes on forever. I actually do need to quit losing weight at some point. If I keep losing weight too long, I get an eating disorder, and if I keep going, I die. Right? You actually do need to stop losing weight at some point. There's actually supposed to be a time you quit doing all the things for weight loss. And so this is where, and a lot of people, they're not willing to admit to themselves where they want to be. So I got a call from a one-on-one client I was working with, or not a call, a text from a one-on-one client. We were just texting, he was just sending me some updates. And down to 184 pounds. This person's 6'2", and this person swore to me for well over a year that the lowest he'd probably ever go is 210, maybe 200, because he's 6'2", he's got a lot of muscle, he's just gonna look like skin and bones, and if he gets any smaller than that, and he's at 185. And yes, I like to remind him of that regularly, that he said that. Because I understand when you're starting at this journey, the idea of conceptualizing yourself of what is actually possible is sometimes such a tall order, like you're not even going to let yourself accept that it's possible. And so as a result of that, it creates this real fuzzy, loosey-goosey, when do we stop? So what I want to do tonight is help you have a bit more clarity on when you're supposed to quit. You are actually supposed to quit the weight loss project. You're supposed to quit. You're just supposed to quit when you're done. When you're done. Maintenance isn't quitting. You maintain on purpose. So if you take a maintenance break, that's not quitting. A lot of people are like, I'm going to take a break for the summer. No, you're not. You're going to quit for 2 months. That's not a break. If you gain weight on your break, you quit. It wasn't a break. You quit. And you gave up. And you went back to the old ways. You quit. But we don't say we quit because we don't want to face the reality of that. But you did. You never quit. If you can get to the place where you will never quit, I didn't say never fail. Of course you're going to fail. I didn't say never go the wrong direction and make a mistake that results in you gaining weight. Of course you're going to do that. Quitting is defined by what you do after you fall down. The next moment. You fall down all you want. You quit when you don't get back up. So you need to know when, like the fall down 7 times, get up 8, fall down 50, get up 51. Great, yes, but when do I get to not have to worry about that anymore? There is a place and a time to do it. So the weight loss journey has been a fascinating thing for me to work on, because I'm very specific when people ask me. It's really weird for me to tell people what I do. Happens a lot. And people are like, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, I run an online weight loss company. That just doesn't quite feel right to what I do. And so then they're like, oh, really? Weight loss? Can you help me as this person's 20 pounds overweight? And I'm like, I mean, I can, but like, you're kind of weak sauce for me for what you're looking for, which is funny because they're usually looking like, well, no, weight loss is hard. I'm like, yeah, I work with people that need to lose 200 pounds. Like, by the time we get to what you're doing, we've already lost 180 pounds, 140 pounds. Like, we long ago. You're the last phase of the journey. Now, yes, can I help them? Do I know how to do the last phase? Yeah. But I don't do that. I work with people that are obese. That's who I work with. I work with people that the only answer is to throw a GLP-1 in your face and say, go take that. Now you're better. I'm not saying you don't need GLP-1s. I'm not saying GLP-1s are bad. I'm just saying I have eyeballs and I can see the ads. And I can see that they're everywhere. When I got on a subway in New York City, and literally every single bit of the interior wall was covered in ads for GLP-1. Every single visible inch. They wrapped it. They wrapped the inside of the subway car. And it wasn't the one car. I saw many cars that way. An entire subway stop, every single ad printed on the wall for GLP-1s. And that was a year ago. It's only getting worse now. I am bombarded by GLP-1s on my social media. Why are they... That is a bug flying around in the studio. Hi, bug. Why are they doing that? Why am I being targeted? Because it's just carpet bombing. They're not trying to see if you should do it or not. They're just throwing it at you and saying, there you go. That's who I work with. I work with the people that want to do this, but they just can't ever seem to find anybody that'll meet them where they're at and believe in them. That's who I work with. And it's been really interesting. When I first started doing this, I hired some people to help me try to like figure out how to put the program together. And I worked with a couple of different people. And they're all like, well, you need to have this program and you need to do this. And I was like, it won't work. Sure it will. It won't work. Yes, it will. No, it won't. Why? I was like, well, because it's a long journey. What I would tell somebody in the beginning doesn't match what I would tell them in the middle, which doesn't match what I would tell them in the final 20 pounds, which doesn't match what I would tell them if they have 5 pounds to lose, which doesn't match what I would tell them if they've already lost all the weight. And if they lost all the weight having done all this stuff, I would tell that person something different than if they crashed the weight off and now they're scared as fuck that they're going to gain it all back. And I would tell that person something different. I was like, the problem is, if I have 100 people that come through the doors, I have to give them 100 different explanations just about. But no, everybody's looking for the one-size-fits-all solution. I'm like, well, I don't live in fantasy land. I lived in fantasy land for 20 years looking for the one solution to end all solutions. I never found it. Did you? I never found it. And so but I was like, but I know what to say if the person's in front of me. I can talk to them. And so I was always trying to like figure out the journey. And some of y'all have been with me long enough. You've seen me sort of been working this process for a few years now. And I've been whittling it down, getting it dialed in, and I've really got it figured out. Like with the guild, with social media, with the free Facebook group, with all the conversations I've been having with people for years and years and years, with my one-on-one practice, with my inner circle, I have just made studying and looking at obesity and weight loss journeys through lifestyle and habit change, it has been my obsession for 7 years. My entire life has been built around it. I'm a little delusional. I studied this stuff voraciously. It started because I refused to gain my weight back, and then it turned into I wanted to help people, and then I wanted to help more people, and then I was like, okay, I got to figure this out. And I realized knowing the information and how to convey it on a one-to-one is completely different than learning the information and conveying it on a one-to-many. Like here, tonight. I've had to completely reinvent how I teach weight loss for a one-to-many format. So it works. People that work with me one-on-one are usually surprised to see how drastically different it is. Drastically different to do when I do it one-on-one. And so here's the truth. There is not one single set of changes to make. There is not one single set of changes to make. In fact, the things you're doing on your first month, I can guarantee you that will not be your strategy 6 months later. I can guarantee it. I don't even know what you're doing, and I don't even know what you're going to be doing 6 months from now, but I know it will be different. I also know that whatever you're doing 6 months from now won't match what you're doing a year after that. I know that you are going to make lots and lots and lots of little teeny tiny changes, but I also know there's going to come a point near about the end of the journey where you are going to do everything you've ever learned all at once. You're going to do it all at some point. Everything. All of you are going to calorie track at some point. You're going to at least dabble with it once. All of you are going to try some version of ingredient or meal prepping. All of you are going to learn about movement. But the thing is, a critical success principle for you to really lock in is the way to get to success is to learn what you need to learn and have the experiences you need to have piece by piece, line upon line, step upon step, bit by bit. You incrementally work your way up. You don't start off walking 10,000 steps a day when you're 350 pounds and you've only been taking between 1,500 and 3,000 steps a day. You don't start off at 10,000. That would be an unreasonable request of you. Instead, we say, what are you doing? And you say, I'm doing about 2,500 on average. Perfect. Why don't you take the next month and let's get that up to 3,500 steps? Well, no, that doesn't seem high enough. I should be doing 5, 7, 8, at least 8,000 steps. Yeah, you're 350 pounds. Your knees are going to be really upset with you because you don't have the strength yet. We need to build your legs up. Baby step it. And then when you got it to 4,500 steps, 5,000 steps. You got it to 5,000 steps, 6,000 steps. You got to 6,000 steps, 7,000 steps. And you just keep doing it all the way until you're getting up there. And then you're noticing you can walk a mile pretty easily. And then you're like, well, I could probably jog a little bit of this. And then you're like, oh, wow, that got me out of breath. Oh, I wonder if I could jog a little bit more. And the next thing you know, like, oh, I wonder if I could jog a whole mile. And then you're like, wow, I just jogged a whole mile. Wow, that's crazy. I wonder if I could do 3 miles if I just walk jog again. And so you go do a walk jog of 3 miles. You're like, wow, I just did that. I wonder if I could ever like run the whole thing. Next thing you know, you're running 5Ks. And the next thing you know, you're that weirdo that runs 5Ks on holidays. And it all started from just going from 2,500 steps to 3,000 steps. That's where it started. It's a continuous line. It's like math. You don't start off with advanced math. You start off with learning what a 1 is, what a 2 is, and then you learn about what happens when you take a 1 and put it together with a 2, realizing that you get a 3. And you learn about addition, you learn about subtraction, and the math gets more and more and more advanced until eventually you're doing more advanced math. You see, you must master the phase of weight loss that you are in. And I'm going to tell you what the phases are here in a minute. You have to master the phase that you are in. You don't need to rush to get to the next phases. You will naturally find yourself in the next phase. It'll be natural evolution. Because remember this formula. This is a very, very good formula. Action plus time equals results. If you take a small action and times it by a lot of repetitions, you're going to get results. Action plus time, which could be frequency, equal results. Action plus time equals results. And so you don't need to worry about what you're going to do in the later phases. I'm going to break them down for you. We're going to zip through them. But you'll get there in due time. But it is helpful to be generally aware of what it is you're going to do in the later phases so you can just let go of it. For example, how many of you, when you start off your weight loss journey in your first 30 pounds, you decide and think that it is important that you start eating healthy? Give me a 3 in the chat if you've done that in the past or now. You think, if I'm going to lose weight, I need to start eating healthy. Right? No. We don't even worry about that for a while. We don't even worry about that for a while. It's just a distraction. It's just a distraction. You'll get there, but you got to do it in the right order. And this is the thing that I've been looking at and trying to understand with the Guild, with all of my programs, is what does a person need to learn and in what order should they learn and implement it in? And this way a person can identify where they are and know what it is they need to do. And many things require experiential learning. They require you to learn it by going and doing something. And so what I want to show you tonight is the stages of a weight loss journey. I want to talk to you tonight about the stages of a weight loss journey. So we're going to begin with first phase, which is ground zero. And then after ground zero, we have the foundations phase. And then after foundations, there's the marathon in the middle. And then after the marathon in the middle, there's the final pounds. And then there's maintenance. There's phases of maintenance, but you don't need to know about those right now. These are the phases, the stages of weight loss that everyone will go through. It does not matter if you're on a GLP-1. It does not matter if you had weight loss surgery. It doesn't matter if you have PCOS. It doesn't matter if you were tall. It doesn't matter if you were short. It doesn't matter if you're a man. It doesn't matter if you're a woman. It doesn't matter if you are old. It doesn't matter if you are young. Nothing matters. You are going to go through all of these phases if you are obese. This is the journey for an obese person. This is not the story for a person that needs to lose 20 pounds. They're in the final pounds. They don't have to do all this other stuff. You do. Your journey is different. So your journey must accommodate that you are going to do this. I have not yet seen a person not go through these phases. Sometimes people go through them quicker. Sometimes people go through them slower. There's no right, there's no wrong. But they will happen. So let's talk about the first one, which is ground zero. This is about your first 10 pounds of the journey. Again, if you're really large, let's say you're 500 pounds, maybe that's 20, 30 pounds, right? But generally speaking, it's going to be about 10 pounds of your journey. We're not going to talk about the strategy and how you do it. There's actually a whole thing I'll be having people do. But there's no tracking calories, macros, or food. You don't need to start off with that. And there's no elimination of foods. No foods get cut out. How many of you, when you go to start your weight loss journey, you started off with tracking calories and tracking foods and eliminating whole food groups or specific foods or categories? And yet that is exactly what I don't want you to do, because I know that creates failure. And then in the first phase, you will increase your movement and you will begin to learn about hunger signals. If you're using a GLP-1, you can't do this because you don't get hunger signals anymore. And so just understand, if you're using a GLP-1, you can still do everything I'm talking about, but because your hunger signals are being taken away, you will not be able to benefit from any of the hunger training that I provide because you don't get hungry. And so rather than being reliant upon the training, you're going to be reliant upon the medication. That is okay. That is fine. I just want to be transparent about what your reality is going to be. So just know, if you come off of it, you will not have learned about hunger, and you are going to have to still do all of that work. The other part is you're going to learn about hunger as a concept, learn about how it works within your body. And you will also, in the first phase, begin working on sleep, stress, and time management. Because for many of you, you are way too busy, way too overcommitted, or you're way not busy enough. If you are regularly boredom eating, that means your life is boring, and you need to get more things into your life to make a more interesting life. If you have no time to work out, you are overextended, and you need to start telling people no and create some time in your life for you. Then we have the next phase, which is the foundations phase. So this is where you begin learning about emotional eating. You don't really need to dive into it too much immediately. You really need to begin learning about hunger. Hunger is going to flush out the emotional eating and show you where it occurs in your life. You will also begin to document movement. That's neat movement and exercise. If you haven't already started doing that in the first phase, which you don't necessarily have to, this is where you will begin to document it. Why is that? There we go. You will also begin learning about the mechanics of weight loss. You don't really need to do a big deep dive in understanding how weight loss occurs in the body, understanding about total daily energy expenditure, understanding about calories, about macros, about fiber, about micronutrients, about how to plan a meal. You don't really need to learn about any of that stuff in the ground zero phase. Foundations is where you begin learning about that after you've lost your first 10 pounds by just really working on your hunger. But also in the foundations phase, this is where many people, they end up quitting because they don't acquire their next level gear. In the foundations phase, we need to look at what season, like winter, summer, spring, fall, are you living in, and what season is it about to become? And you need to have gear that enables you to go move outdoors in that weather. There's no such thing as too cold. There's just, I forgot to buy the clothes that make it where I can go outside in the cold. There's no such thing as too hot. There's just I didn't get a gym membership with air conditioning. Weather is not a reason to not work out. You need gear. You need access to facilities. Okay? And also, some of you might need to, like, I hate the gym. Great. Why aren't you working out at home then? You might need to acquire gear to work out at home. So it is in foundations that we begin to acquire the next level gear of your quest. And you will also begin performing what I call a strategic life audit. This goes hand in hand with emotional eating. You are fat because of your lifestyle, habits, routines, environment, community, and belief systems. That is what created that. If you are now thin, which we have people in this room that are now thin or becoming about to be thin, you became this way because you changed your life. Now, if you've struggled with emotional eating, we got to work on that. And the strategic life audit is going to help you identify the sources of stress in your life that you need to fix. If you're in the Guild, you'll begin learning about the Guild success principles, because success is a formula. It's not something that where you get lucky. Changing the way you think is a formula. It's not something that just happens to some people. It's actually a process that can be duplicated. But here's the thing I want to really, really point out. No tracking of food still. Far too many people rush to track. And this is where I'm going to be transparent with everybody. I have been being a little bit of a chicken, a little bit of a coward. If somebody works with me one-on-one, I only can think of 2 exceptions that I made, and they had to really convince me for a few months. Only twice have I let people track calories in the first 6 months of us working together. Otherwise, I have always made them stop if they already were doing it. And I told them, you have to show me that you can do it. You have to earn it. You have to earn the right to track calories, because otherwise it's just going to mess you up. It's just a distraction. It becomes an excuse you can point to be like, I'm not losing weight because I can't track calories. That's not a valid excuse. Because you could have done something else instead, like listen to your hunger. But if you don't go listen to your hunger and all you do is calorie tracking, when you take calorie tracking away, you have nothing. Hunger you can do in any circumstance, anywhere, any place, anytime with any food. You just listen to your hunger. You could travel to another country and literally not know what anything is. I've done it. And manage just fine. Because your body breaks it down into carbs, fats, and protein. Your body doesn't go, that's Vietnamese carbs. Those are good. That's American Oreo cookie carbs. Those are bad. Your body doesn't know that. A carb's a carb when it breaks it down. So let's talk about the next phase. And that is the marathon in the middle. The longest, most difficult, most challenging phase of this entire journey. The great filter that causes many people to walk into this phase and they never come out. But many do. And nobody leaves the marathon in the middle phase unchanged. The marathon in the middle is where the champion is born. It's where the real you, that's going to be on the other side of this journey, the one that's really going to exist, this is where this version of you begins to be birthed, to begin to come into reality. The you that you're going to become on the other end of this journey, you're not going to see that person for a while if you're in the first few phases. It is somewhere in this marathon in the middle. You see, it might take many of you to get 6 months through ground zero and foundations. Some of you, it might take you a year. The marathon, I guarantee you it'll take you a year. The marathon is difficult, and it's amazing. It's where the most incredible transformations of yourself is going to occur, here in the marathon in the middle. Because right in the middle of the marathon, you reach this weird place where you've lost so much weight already, but there's still so far to go. You reach this point where you're standing in the metaphorical tunnel of life and you look behind you and you can't see the light anymore. But you're looking ahead and you can't see the light there either. So all you do is you just keep going. It's difficult. You walk up to a person in the marathon, the latter third of the marathon in the middle, they're hitting the emotional metaphorical wall. How you doing? How's your weight loss journey going? It's going good. Been doing the same thing for a year. For a year. It's like crossing a damn desert. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. Welcome to the grind. It's not hard any given day. It's hard in that it goes every day. And you just keep swimming and you just keep going. It's an amazing phase. It's my favorite phase to watch. It was my favorite phase to go through. It was the most incredible time of my life going through the marathon in the middle. Absolutely incredible going through this phase. It is where you begin to actually work on the results of your strategic life audit. In the marathon in the middle is where you actually start making the for real changes in your life. You're not making real changes in your life at Ground Zero Foundations. Marathon in the middle is when you get divorced, change jobs, move houses, get a different state, have a baby, fix your finances, get out of debt, start investing in retirement, go take that trip you've always wanted to do. You start creating the life that you want to end the journey in. Because you don't want to become thin, healthy, happy, and in shape in the life of your misery. You want to become thin, healthy, happy, and in shape in the life of your dreams. And the life of your dreams isn't going to magically show up when you become thin, healthy, happy, and in shape. You're not going to, let's imagine this is the finish line. It's not like you're going to walk across the finish line and somebody's going to bestow upon you the life of your dreams. No, it's not waiting for you there unless you go and fucking build it. And it's going to take some time. And so you build it in the marathon in the middle is where you build it. This is also, if you're in the guild, where you will begin the NeuroShift study program that I have spent the entirety of 2025 building. If any of you have been through NeuroShift, go ahead, you can chime in the chat if you got anything out of it. It's a program I'm pretty proud of, but it is my intermediate and advanced mindset work. You're going on a difficult journey and you need the mentality to match. You have to learn the endurance mindset. You have to learn the importance of powerful questions. You have to learn how to reframe difficult situations. You have to learn how to take your weight loss and turn it into an and no matter what happens. You have to be able to level up your brain so much that you could lose your job and your pet in the same week and you would still keep working on your weight and not feel bad about it. That's what happens when you shift your mindset, when you shift your thinking. You cannot come out of this journey thinking the same way you did when you went into it. If the way you think from day to day to day doesn't change a lot, you're going to continue to get what you've always got. And then you will also learn how to track calories on paper, which means on the phone, and in your mind. In the marathon in the middle is where you will learn to track calories in your own head. If you can't loosely track calories in your head, you're not going to make it to the end. You're not going to make it to the end unless you can at least approximate it. There are some people that learn another way to do it. They're not common. They're not common. You will also, in the marathon in the middle, begin to set your first fitness goals that will take you months to achieve. Until you're in the marathon in the middle, your fitness goal is show up. That's your fitness goal. Show up. You don't set a goal that takes longer than a week to do. Your goal, though, is to show up every time you said you were for a week. But after you've now had many weeks of showing up, now you have earned the privilege of setting a fitness goal that takes months to achieve because you're ready for it. You've earned it, and you will do it in a way that's not going to burn you out. You will also begin in the marathon throughout, and all this is happening over time. This doesn't like all happen day one. You'll manage your protein and fiber intake. It is in the marathon that you will really learn about these and really begin to hyper-focus on them. It is also in the marathon that you will fully lock in the weight loss mindset. Now, what I mean by that is, it is much easier to lose weight, if you begin to associate positive feelings, thoughts, and emotions with certain experiences. For example, it is much easier to lose weight if you have associated positive feelings with being hungry, of sitting in your hunger, feeling that slightly empty tummy feeling. If you begin to go, okay, it's working. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, all right, I'm doing good. I'm hungry. I'm not going to eat. I think I can make it a few hours. Yeah, I'm going to hold out. I'm not going to eat. Yeah, it feels pretty good. And then you show up to the food. You only have a small portion and you slowly eat it, enjoying every little bit because you're hungry, but you're moderating yourself. And you stop and you're like, okay, I'm feeling good. Hunger's gone. I definitely could keep eating, but I can do this. It's much easier if you have positive feelings with that. How many of you have felt that, like the hunger, you're sitting in it for an hour and in your head, you're like, you need to eat now. This is terrible. You're going to die if you don't get, and your brain's like just going nuts in your head. That's not associating positive feelings. You're going to cave. So it becomes easy to do it. And look, I understand. I'm going to just talk about the thing that people don't want to talk about. A lot of people weirdly get into a weight loss journey who have spent most of their life obese, walking around with this strange fear that you're going to develop anorexia. I've had enough conversations with you to know that many of you harbor this secret worry. You're not probably going to do that. So, but also, you're going to be doing this for a long time. A long time. And I'm not saying sit in hunger in a dysfunctional way. I'm saying sit in it for a few hours and then eat. Right? Skip a meal and go work out just to burn a little extra energy every now and again and not get all weird about it. Right? You just reduce the emotional judginess of everything. And you just allow yourself to become happy with the feeling of losing weight. Because you're going to turn it off, but you're going to be doing this for a year or two. It's a lot easier if your brain is on the same page with you. And then the last one is you will increase your NEAT movement to a 10,000 daily average. Now, you are not probably going to sustain that one perfectly throughout the entire marathon because the marathon's a long time. Okay? It takes a good long while to get through the marathon. So, but that is what you are generally speaking going to do. And then we have the final pounds. This is where the weary travelers show up to complete their now ultra marathon. They just ran their marathon and they now get the pleasure of continuing on the journey. When you are in the final pounds, there's no more learning about weight loss. You're done. No more learning. Just doing. It's just time to act. Right? If you're still having to learn about a whole bunch of stuff, you fucked up. You did it wrong. You messed up. You should not be needing to learn a whole ton of stuff here in the final pounds. You should be refining. You should be learning little teeny tiny things, but you should not be learning a whole bunch about weight loss. It's just doing. The final pounds is the era of action. It is just time to go and do. And everything you have learned, you will be doing at once. The final 20 pounds, and again, it's 10, 15, 20s, right in that range, but these final pounds will be the hardest pounds you will lose on the entire journey. That is the hardest. You will work 3 times as hard for half the effort, or half the results. 3 times as hard for half the results. It will be difficult. It will require diligence. It is a challenging part of the journey. People that are in this phase of the journey actually have a hard time associating with people that are in the beginning because they're getting so locked in their head that any amount of stinking thinking or negativity or random excuse making that is really just bullshit, they just about can't handle it. because they're having to protect their mindset so much, because sometimes you're just riding the edge of quitting for 3 weeks straight. You're riding the edge of settling. You see, it's one thing to quit when you went from 350 pounds and you're quitting at 325 pounds. That's one thing. It's an entirely different thing when you've gone from 350 pounds as a 5'5" woman and now you're 150 pounds. And you know you could be another 10 pounds lighter, 15 pounds lighter, and you want it, but it's really fucking hard. And you know that if you just stopped right here, no one would give you shit about it. No one. Everyone would tell you it's okay when you're 10 pounds away from goal. No one would tell you to keep going, hardly. And you, in fact, even you are like, why am I keep going? I look great in the mirror. Why would I keep going? Because you want it. Remember that person I told you earlier, swore up and down, maybe 200, now at 185, can't even imagine having stopped at 200. I thought I would be happy at 190. I can't even imagine wanting to weigh 190 pounds right now. I'm 172. The other thing, though, it is now in the final pounds, though, there is something you learn. You're no longer learning about weight loss, but it is now time to start learning about food nutrition. Now is the time that you begin to learn about your food. You begin to learn about and make a concerted, active effort to start looking at your nutrients, what's in your food, looking at how to improve the quality of your food in your life. Notice how late in the journey this is coming up. How many of you do this one in the early phases? Notice how many of you, what you're trying to do is you're trying to jump to the final pounds when you're at ground zero. You're trying to go to bed one day and wake up the next day doing everything, entering the era of action, doing everything at once, and learning about nutrition. Is it any wonder you keep failing? Because you're trying to skip all of the hard parts that precede it. You will begin to improve the nutritional value of your food choices. Eating healthy isn't a thing. That's a made-up phrase. It doesn't mean anything. You will improve the nutritional value of the food. You will take the food that you're doing and you will increase its nutritional value. And you will fully embrace the art of sitting in hunger. Trust me, in the final pounds, you're going to have to be able to do this. Like, when I was eating at my size and activity level, eating 1,700 calories a day, it sucked. And I know some of you ladies are like, you don't understand, Chris. I had to eat 1,200. I had 50 pounds on you. It's proportional to size. It was miserable. It was awful. Eating 1,700 calories a day, but yet I did it with a smile. Because you have to, when I've learned all the things that I had learned before, I knew how to do it with the positive mindset. And then you will also enter the one and only phase of the journey where you white knuckle it. You just hold on tight for dear life for 3 months and you just get it done. You can't white knuckle it for very long. You've only got a couple of white knuckling bursts in you probably, and then it's just going to burn you out. The final pounds, you can white knuckle it a little bit. You can just push it. But we don't white knuckle it in the marathon in the middle. We don't do that. And then we have maintenance. Then you have maintenance. This is where you spin down the weight loss mindset. Remember what I said earlier about worrying about if you're going to develop an eating disorder? My program has accounted for that. We will work with you to spin it down. I'm actively, if you're in my maintenance programs, I am on the lookout for somebody that is still dieting when they've already become thin. So we can stomp that out. You know, you get that diet bullshit out of here. You're done. You're thin. Love it. Enjoy it. Revel in it. Let's now spin up the next phase, the weight management mindset. We fully power down weight loss and we fully spin up weight management. And now we continue to improve the nutritional value of your food choices. And now you begin to set goals of a fitness nature that take months or even years to accomplish. You should not be setting long, big fitness goals until you're done. It's a distraction. I know many of you are going to ignore me and do it anyway. Just know you're making your weight loss journey take a lot longer. And then there's learning how to manage weight without tracking foods. I'm regularly asked, Chris, do you track your foods? I love it when people ask me that because I can say, nope. And I'm been the same size for 4 years. I do not. It is not necessary. It is not necessary to track your calories in perpetuity. And then you will perform the deepest of inner work on emotional eating. Many of you will have been doing a lot of emotional eating work on your weight loss journey, but you're managing things, and emotional eating can hide in the diet. For example, if you have a granola bar in the afternoon because it fits in your calories, how do you know that's not actually emotional eating? That snack you're having at the end of the night for 300 calories and you're not even hungry, how do you know that's not emotional eating? It fits in your calories. The reality is sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you don't. But when you get to the maintenance phase, this is when you're going to begin to really dig in and do the deepest of work and really try to understand your emotional eating. I am 4 years into maintenance and still consider myself working on my emotional eating. Still. I am in no way thinking I am done dealing with it, managing it, thinking about it. I still keep my 8 Keys to End Emotional Eating book around all the time, and it's not because I teach from it all the time. I read from it for myself. And then there is move forwards towards the life of your dreams in the body of your dreams. And isn't that really what you want? Isn't that really what you want? You don't just want to lose weight. You want your life to change. There's something about your life that you want it different. You want it better. I don't know what it is. Some of you, it's just 1 or 2 things. Maybe it's your job. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe you want a family. For some of you, it's everything. You literally look around your life and you're like, there's not one single thing about it that I like. That's how I want it. And so you will begin in the maintenance phase to begin working on this and changing it. So, the stages of weight loss. This is the journey. Now, if you couldn't already tell the way I've described this, I've actually created an entire way of approaching it now for each phase and teaching people how to go through it. So this announcement's for those of you that are in the guild. You might have already saw, starting tomorrow, you're going to see a lot more meetings show up because I didn't want you to know yet. You might have already gotten a glimpse that there are meetings in the docket that are specific to a phase of the journey. So I'm going to begin shifting the guild in 2026, and we're going to begin coaching you in the phase you're in. And we're going to begin, instead of having general guild-wide meetings, we'll still have those. We're going to begin having specific phase meetings. So if you were in the foundations phase, you will come to the foundations room, and I only want people that are in foundations in that meeting. I only want those people in it so that I can talk to them. Now, when you've passed a phase, within reason, you're allowed to go backwards, but generally speaking, I want you to stay in the ones you're in. And we're going to begin coaching you for where you're at. Remember what I said earlier. If a person comes into the journey and they're in ground zero, I would talk to and coach that person differently than if they were in the final pounds. Not only would I give different information, I would provide a very, very different level of intensity. For example, in ground zero, you do not need me coming at you with the, hey, it's time to buckle down and just get shit done energy. You don't need that. That's not the right place for that. But when you're in the final pounds, you don't need me to come at you and be like, well, how you doing today? You want to maybe we do a little baby step? Like, no, we ain't baby stepping. We're almost there, right? We have to have a different kind of energy. But in the beginning, we have to baby step. We have to work our way there to where we're going. We have to only focus on a few things in the beginning, and at the end we have to focus on a lot of things. And this is what I've been working on for a while, is figuring out how to divide this up. And I'm really excited. In 2026, the guild is going to start shifting and morphing, and you're going to start seeing different things show up where we're going to start getting you into your own sections, even to where you're sort of having things you don't need to see blocked out, which will hopefully help prevent some of the overwhelm. Because right now in the guild, there already is material to serve every phase of the journey, but it's sort of general. So now we're going to break it up, and so you can get to the phases that you need and get to the information you need. And that's going to be the big push of 2026, is to get that transition done within the community. So some of you, like I just saw what Clint put, some of you have been here with the Guild since day one. So I want you to know, for me, the Guild is very much another journey, just like the weight loss. It's just moving forward and continually evolving it and leveling it up, learning from the mistakes, learning what needs to be done, and pushing everything forward and growing it up and up and up and up and up. You're going to start seeing side quests. Many of you saw we were experimenting with those in the last quarter. We're going to start having side quests for specific phases of the journey, because there are some quests that I want to give for people that are later phases in the journey, but some of y'all still, for whatever reason, though, I tell you to stop doing it, you get all butt hurt because somebody can run farther than you. But they've got a 4-year head start. I certainly hope they can run further than you. That's kind of rude to expect that you should be able to do it too. Right? But then we also get people that are in the beginning, and then they're getting overrun by all you super fit people coming in when we got a 5,000 step challenge and you're getting there and posting your 15,000 step results, making people feel bad. I get it. So we need to have a place where you have your own quests for your phase. So you're with people that are at a similar level. We are even going to have in real life things that match the quests too, or match the phase of the journey too. That way, people can get the experiences for what they need at the phase they're in. And this does include maintenance, everybody. And also for everybody that doesn't know this, we are now going to, just as January of last year, we had enough thin people that we needed to make the maintenance group. Now we have enough final pound people that we're going to split maintenance and final pound up. We're going to have maintenance programming and final pound programming. And then that way you can get it for the phase that you're in, and we can really focus that up. So really exciting changes coming for all of you that are in the Guild. All right, so thank you everybody for coming tonight. We're going to wrap up here. There is no homework for tonight, other than if you didn't do last night's homework, or if you've missed any of the sessions from during the day. I want to encourage you to watch them. We had an incredible hot seat coaching session earlier today. It was fantastic. The people that got into the hot seat today had incredible questions. They were open, they were vulnerable, and we really had incredible conversations that I know helped a lot of other people. So if you're looking for something to dive into, definitely recommend checking that in the replays that you're going to see from today. We also did this lesson earlier today on metabolism, which is one of my favorites to talk about, and we talked about the 6 forces of transformation. Highly recommend checking all of those out if you missed any of them. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you for giving me your time here this evening. I hope you got some information that's going to help you along in your journey. And tomorrow will be the final night, and we're going to wrap everything up. I've got a whole nother page of stuff to go through here with you tomorrow. We're going to continue to talk more about quitting and what we can do and how we can help prevent the quitting as you move forward into this year on whatever journey it is that you're going on. Have a great night, everybody. So good to see you. See you tomorrow.